Amazing. Okay. Well, hi everybody. Hopefully this is coming through loud and clear to hypertext.com. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the first event of the HYPERTEXT public program.
Welcome to the first event of
Rory might want to turn his audio off. There we go. So HYPERTEXT is a virtual art book fair organised by the team behind Found Art Book Fair in collaboration with Open Eye Gallery. And you can watch all of our free public events at hypertext.fun. And you can also browse and buy publications from 50 different international exhibitors. So today's first talk is a publication launch of the zine Hope by Leeds-based artist Sam Hutchinson, which is a series of images shot while Sam was volunteering in the West Bank with a charity called Skatepal, who build and maintain skate parks and also teach skateboarding across Palestine. So to launch this new title, the profits of which will be going to Skatepal, Sam will be in conversation with Aram Sabbah, who is a local manager for Skatepal based in Ramallah. So if you're watching through hypertext.fun, please feel free to use the chat function alongside the stream to post any questions. And just to let you know that this talk is being recorded. So I'm going to switch off and hand over to you, Sam.
Sweet, thanks for that. So I just want to say a massive thanks to Aram for being with us here as well, and cheers to Lillian as well, and everyone at Bound and HYPERTEXT and Open Eye for giving us an opportunity to do this as well. I think it's real cool that we can have Aram from Palestine talking to me in Leeds for us as part of this event this weekend. So I think we should just start with something that I really like about your kind of title, Aram, especially on the Skatepal website, is that you're kind of cited as one of the first skateboarders in Palestine. That's a pretty cool title, right?
I'm one of the first ones. I can't take the title of being the first. But yeah, it's nice to be one of the, I guess, the OGs. You may say.
Yeah, totally. So you were born in Ramallah in Palestine?
Yes, Bire. It's right next to Ramallah. It's an area next to Ramallah.
Nice. So how old were you when you first got into skateboarding, and how did it come about? Was it Charlie from Skatepal that kind of introduced the first skateboards?
Actually, me and my friend started skating almost half a year before we met Charlie. Back in 2012. Me and my friend Adham started skating. He started skating before me, and I got a bit jealous that he was skating and having fun. And I was like, yeah, I want to try it too. And I tried the skateboard. And I don't know, since then we started skating together to now.
Sick. So how aware were you of skateboarding from all around the world? What was it that kind of first... what was your introduction to seeing people riding skateboards?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't really aware of skateboarding now, but I knew skateboarding from The Simpsons, Bart, and I knew skateboarding from Ninja Turtles.
Sick.
I was skating, and I don't know, it was always a fun thing to see. Also, sounds not gonna sound weird, but it's just gonna sound American, because Brian Scheckler, he had his own TV show, and we had MTV, and he had his own show of him skating and everything, and he was this dude with all tattoos and skating hard and just jumping, ollie, and all this shit, and I don't know. It's just something that's always seemed interesting, but never tried. So I tried it with my friend, and it clicked on, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. So what year was it that you said you started? About 2012?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that was kind of still before the birth of Instagram. So we're kind of part of a generation where you still were just seeing little aspects of skating. I guess it wasn't as accessible to be linked up with all the companies and all the organizations that are doing things at the moment. So I feel a lot of us kind of saw people like Ryan Scheckler or TV shows like that, and were kind of real influenced on it. I guess I'm part of the the Tony Hawk's game generation too. I'm sure in Abdullah, and Abdullah is another skateboarder from Palestine who I actually met when I was out there, and we skated together as well. And I'm sure he said that he was part of like the Tony Hawk's generation. And I think there was a great quote where he said he could play it on the video game, and then when he actually tried to skate, he was just like, "Whoa, this is wild." So as well, did you study in Tunisia?
Yeah, I finished my school years in Palestine and studied abroad for college in Tunisia from 2015 till 2019.
Cool. Yeah. So just for a bit of context as well, I was volunteering with Skatepal in October of 2017 for like a month and a bit, like just over a month. And sadly, I was supposed to be going back for about 2.5 months this year. But obviously because of everything that's happened this year, I haven't been able to get through. So like, do you think there's been like quite a lot of people getting into skateboarding in the last year as well? Because I know that something that's real cool about these kind of like skate related like NGOs and these charities is that hopefully they can build up a scene enough so then it can kind of self-sustain itself. And I think you're like a really good example of a skateboarder who is now like an adult, and you're now running things from Palestine from kind of having that support. Like, how has the last year been for you in terms of like getting out skateboarding or seeing communities, being able to get out skateboarding?
Well, yeah, the past 2 years were the 2 years that me personally as a skater in Palestine and also Skatepal, like Charlie and Theo and all those guys, we've noticed that the past 2 years were the 2 years that you actually could see the progress, I guess, or you could actually see more people, random people skating instead of the same group, same faces. And I mean, with the support of Skatepal, now we got to the point where I guess it's growing more and more by itself, and people are hearing about in Palestine about Skatepal more and more often, and we want to be in the skateboarding scene, nevertheless, if they want to skate, if they want to be supporting, if they want to be one of the groups or not. It just, things are starting to get more on the ground, you know.
That's great to hear. Yeah,
But still young. Like you can feel it, you can see it. It's still young, but people are more interested in skating than they were, I guess, 5 years ago.
that's amazing. I think something that's really interesting about that as well is that kind of like even skateboarding in itself has only been around since the 70s, right? So like as an art or a sport or whatever you want to call it, it's still like in such a fetus stage. So really like the fact that skating has only existed in Palestine for like 8 years or so is not really that kind of like small when you consider that it's only really been in, say, the UK since like the early 90s as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think as well, this might be a good chance to kind of talk about like participation levels. And it's great that you've seen that boom as well, because when I was out there in 2017, the Jayus Park. So as well, for anyone listening, there's 3 skate parks in Palestine now, Zababdeh, Azira and Jayus. And the Jayus Park, when that was completed, like Charlie and Theo and a lot of the Skatepal kind of like staff were over, and they were real stoked because they said there was a lot of kids there that they didn't even recognize, and they were like our crew. And I was like, yo, there's like loads of crews, and they were coming from all the villages afar, and it seemed like people were really into it. So like, can we like, what do you think about the kind of like gender participation as well? Because not only has like female or like non-binary and marginalized genders seen a massive kind of like push in the last few years in mainstream skateboarding, but I feel like in Palestine it's never been too much of a gendered activity either, right?
Never. That's the beautiful thing that I love about the skateboarding scene here. Because it's something new for the people. They had never had this background stereotype of it's a boys thing and only boys can skate. So when skateboarding was introduced by the skate scene and Skatepal and all those volunteers coming in, we never had this, we never considered gender, you know, just all the people, ages, everyone could skate. And I can say that it's almost 50-50%. Like there's 50% girls and 50% boys in the skateboarding scene in Palestine. So they didn't have the background of it's a boys thing, and it was introduced as a sport by itself that everyone joined and had fun, and it actually empowered the girls through the community to actually have a space where they can just act the way they want and just have fun, and never consider it as a gender thing. We never had this thing, you know. So
That's
always,
pretty cool.
yeah.
And had there been any kind of like activities or groups or occasions like in your life growing up where that kind of interaction between young people of like all mixed genders as well, is that like quite a common thing?
Uh, it's not a common thing in Palestine. That it's starting to get more common, I guess, in certain cities, but mostly it's not. It just because the culture and the heritage and how things work, I guess, in the Middle East and things, it's not really common for boys and girls to be mixed a lot
Yeah, of
in
course.
things. And skateboarding is breaking that thing. Skateboarding is breaking it in a really beautiful way without disrespecting the culture itself or their beliefs or whatever it is. So it just mixed like it just goes nicely with all the things happening and just like mix everything in a nice, beautiful way that everybody is happy about it and no one could say anything bad about it because nothing bad is happening. Just people are having fun in it. Like in the skate park, you could see families bringing their kids, boys and girls and everything, and sitting down and watching them play skate. And there's would never happen a problem. And they're just having fun. So that after they go out of the skate park and see each other in the streets, boys and girls, they can say hi to each other because the family knows that they skate together. It's a common thing they have now with each other in the community that they skate. So it's okay for things to, you know. So it's giving away and have like building something that was already not trying to be built by the community just because of the culture, I guess.
Yeah,
Somehow it's helping to people to accept others and accept everything happening.
that's real nice to hear. That's something as well that I'd like to point out that I thought was real cool is that there was obviously quite a lot of cultural differences that that were quite amazing to me when I was there. And one of the things that I thought was so cool was the fact that the skate park is used like a real community space. Like we'd like to think that in the UK, like skate parks are quite community spaces, but it's very rare that everyone goes down to the skate park with their family and their like cousins and their little brothers. And so many times we would be up there and it would be getting late and families were still turning up to kind of socialize and greet one another. Obviously like people bring food down and tea and like kanafa, and it was so cool that it seems to be used as like a community hub as well. And I guess it's quite limited as in like Azira where I was as well. It's a slightly large village, would you say? Like is it a village?
It is a village. Asira Shimali is known for its space, like as a village, as how you say buildings and houses. It's not really huge. It's not big. It's a village, but the land they have olive trees and the mountains they have is a spacious place.
Yeah,
So
of course.
the borders of the village is big, but wherever people like all the people are living in a not I wouldn't say packed, but they live in a certain area of the village and they have the spacious land.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So do you get through to like Azira much? Do you get to ride many of the skate parks in Palestine? Because I guess you're a couple hours away from each of them in Ramallah.
Yeah. I always try my best to go head up to Asira once or twice a week. Sometimes it get hard with work and freelancing and things, and I have to
Yeah, of course.
balance things. But every time I get the chance to go to Yus or Asira, I do it. And even Omar from Caliclia and Abdullah when was here, and like all the skaters from Caliclia, from Nablus, from everywhere, we just just text each other and like, let's go to Asira today. We go to Asira. Let's go to Caliclia today. We go to Caliclia. It's like Caliclia is hour and a half almost drive from Ramallah, and Asira is almost an hour. drive from Ramallah. It's not that long, but it takes the whole day. So when you go to the park, you need to like book the whole day just for skating, which is
You have to plan the session, right? If you want to get it going down.
really nice.
Yeah, I really like that as well, because that was kind of like my vibe, like growing up in Sunderland, which is a city in the northeast in England, and we would kind of like meet up with people all around the northeast or try and travel down as far as Leeds. And I feel like it's kind of the same there, whereas like when there's like limited skaters as well, everyone's kind of like trying to find each other and see what they're sussing out and trying to make plans. And if I'm honest, I kind of miss that style of skating where you have to kind of plan it a bit more and it feels like a bit more of a like an adventure as well. Is the mini ramp still in Caliclia, or did that get taken down recently?
It's not taken down, but it's not maintained because well, I don't know, but it's like I feel like the skate parks took the shine now, and it's more fun, I guess, to skate in the park more than the ramp for myself personally. But for Ahmad, the one who was always there in the ramp in Caliclia in the zoo, he's always talking about trying to fix it, and he wants to fix it and get wood again, because a lot of rain, a lot of sun, the wood is just taken up.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, he just want to.
We liked that ramp when we went. It was real fun. It was kind of like it had that slightly sketchy feel to it that made it even the more fun to skate. Yeah, it was real cool to go to Caliclia, and to have a ramp in a zoo as well was just one of many kind of like little treats that we got to experience. Just quickly back to another point that we talked about as well, and kind of like the participation and the gender as well, is that I found that something that's interesting about skateboarding is that it's obviously subjective. And the best way I kind of describe it to people sometimes that aren't skateboarders or from that kind of background is, when kids are like, oh, what's your best trick? And there are obviously like things that are harder or scarier or more technical. But some things are like, if you're put in front of them, you will do it if you're like from that early age. So with the environment in a lot of the places we skated in Palestine, I feel like the kids are like getting like real gnarly at skating some of the coolest stuff. For example, like all the young like female skaters like drop in the 40 sheks wall, which is like a real steep vert wall at the back of the park. It's like I
never tried that 40 sheks drop in till now. It's too scary for me.
I love that ramp, but I hit the deck like a bag of bricks so many times falling off the top of that ramp. I've got a constant just side bruise. We made a ramp at our current DIY that I feel like it's like a slight replica of the 40 sheks, but thinner and a tiny bit smaller. So I might have to get a 40 sheks on there. But yeah, is that something that you've noticed as well? Like all kind of skaters because everyone's kind of come into it at a similar age as well. So I think some of the adults are learning how to skate at the same kind of time as like a lot of the younger people. Is that something that you've noticed about like the levels that people are improving at as well? Like with a lot of people getting more into skating, have you seen the standard kind of rising as well over the last few years?
Yeah, well, since everything started happening with skate parks and the use and Navlets and all that, you can just see how much progressed that the kids. First of all, as I said, the atmosphere in Palestine makes it skateboarding is not something difficult in their mind to accept the idea that we want to drop in the 40 sheks. Drop in. I dropped in the mini ramp. I can drop in there. They don't have this conclusion of it's a great ramp that you can't like. It doesn't mix up in their mind. They're just like, oh, it's a drop in. And they're too gnarly to think about any small things. Like you've seen the kids in JUs, they just drop in the big wall and they just slide off to the mini ramp and they just like fly out.
Full speed. Full speed.
Yeah, and they don't think twice about it because they're still young. They don't have this fear connection. Like they know they're afraid, but they know they actually can do it, and they do it. And that makes it progress really faster and gnarlier. And you can see the difference between the teenagers and how kids, so the difference between teenagers and kids that when you're a teenager, there's a lot of fears, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of things going on in your mind, and its mental stability is not as much as a kid. So the kid can actually contain and obtain a lot of things that a teenager can't. And you can see the difference that a kid can drop in the 40 chicks, but a teenager and an adult like me have too much things to think about dropping in and just like feel fuck that shit, I'm not gonna do it. Why the kid just like hops in and drops. Like,
Yeah, I think that's just something really interesting about skateboarding as well, is that one of the examples I always use is that like there's tricks that I guess like a load of kids can do that you might never be able to do, that a lot of people find easy, and for some reason your body just doesn't let you do that. And then there's something that you can do that you just find so easy and it's not scary and no one else will ever kind of do that as well. So I think it's really interesting to think about how the landscape of these new skate parks in Palestine is going to like shape the future generation of skateboarders as well. Yeah. So you obviously, I guess, like, do you, I mean, I think this isn't really a thing anymore, but I'd say like, you know, it used to be quite a thing that people were like all-terrain skaters. You probably skate a lot of street more than you skate the park, I guess. And some of the architecture is so specific to the areas that we were skating, and that's what I thought was so fascinating as well. Like the little plaza area in Ramallah is like just such, like they could build that instead of like 50 grand skate parks in the UK, and we'd probably like them more than the skate parks. And all it is kind of like a nice marble based like amphitheater, and I think that's kind of overlooked as well. Where are some of your favorite places to skate that you have skated in the world as well, or in Palestine?
Palestine, the plaza is the holy spot for me. The plaza is where I started skating, learned all my tricks, spent a lot of time in my life in the streets, just go to the plaza. In Naples, there's a lot of good spots too, to be honest. The world, I don't know, every place. Tunisia was when I studied in Tunisia, there were like, that's the, I guess, you know, I was 17 when I went to Tunis. So 4 years from 17 to I was 2021 was just life-changing time in Tunis. And
Yeah, imagine.
yeah, and shout out to Giraffe Crew. Those guys took me in as family, man. And we just skated all night, all day with them in the streets, just hanging out, doing dumb shit, you know, just having fun. And it was all street skating. It was always street skating. There's a lot of nice spots, weird spots in Tunis too. I don't know. Everywhere I go, everywhere I traveled, there's like a nice spot, good spots, I guess. With Spain, I have a lot of fucking good spots, man. Spain.
Yeah, I've only been to Barcelona once, but it's like a joke. You never go to the spot you want to go to because you find so many good things on the way.
Yeah, true. Also, Malmo, man. Malmo is just street spot heaven. Like there's a guy called Gustav, and he's in architecture in the municipality, and he's a skater. So in Malmo, they introduced the public space spots. So it's a public space that people can hang out in, but it's actually a skate spot, street spot.
Yeah, and Copenhagen has quite a lot as well, right?
Copenhagen, exactly. Like it's just a lot of spots, good spots, and just, I don't know. The whole world is a good spot, I guess. It's just a miserable world that we live in, but it's a good spot.
Totally. I think that's what else I found really interesting is when we went to Bethlehem, and Bethlehem is like quite catered for tourists, right?
Yeah.
So we were skating in Bethlehem, and there was one spot that we found that was like 5-10 minutes away from the Church of Nativity where Jesus was like born. And it was like down the road, and we were kind of just like fucking about. We were like, yo, this is amazing. Like there was marble everywhere and double sets. And I feel like because of that kind of like influx of like tourism to areas like Bethlehem as well, it was just so accessible for skateboarding. And it was kind of unlike anywhere I've ever been as well. Even like the landscape of the villages like Azira, where you can skate down the hills. Like, my God, like, that's some of the scariest hills we've ever skated. It would be one of them where we'd be like, oh, we're going to go to the park today. Like, rather than hitchhike, like we normally get to the skate park, we're like, let's just try and bomb it this time. And then 10 minutes in, you're like, I'm done. Like, there's like oil flying down the roads. There's like cars with no headlights shooting up. Do you kind of enjoy that side of it as well? Like skating a lot of the kind of more rural areas?
I love it. I have this, like in Ramallah, there's a lot of hills, And also in Bethlehem, like Palestine, West Bank, have a lot of hills in it. And in Ramallah, you know, it's getting packed with cars and shit, so you can just skate through the 2 lanes. It's always a 2 lane. There's no more than, because it's a small place. So it's only one lane going this way and the other one going this way, but there's always space between them. So just like shoot in between them and just bomb the hills. It's more, I don't know. I got used to it to the point where I can actually just have fun more, just going down the hill, hitchhiking back, down the hill, hitchhiking, like just like bombing hills all fucking day. Just too much fun.
It's so good, and that's what's amazing about skateboarding too, is that you can't describe it. Like even when I'm not in the mood to skate and do tricks, like just pushing to town or pushing down the canal or like just bombing some hills feels so amazing. You can't really beat that feeling. As well, that feeling where you're going past the point of no return and you're like, well, I've committed to it now. Like I've got to do it. Like there's no backing out. I think something that I found was so amazing about skating in Palestine was the fact that a lot of the people as well aren't really hostile to skateboarding, because they don't see it as like damage. They see it as quite a creative thing. Like I guess it's like someone kind of like dancing in the street. Like people are just fascinated by it. And it kind of gets you into a couple of funny situations where we'd got a little bit of wood to see if I could like ollie over a handrail into like a big hill. And I was kind of scared, man. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And there was just taxis like flying down the hill, like service after service down the hill. And then this taxi driver stops and he was like, yo, it's cool. You go do your trick. And all the taxis stopped to let me do the trick. And I was like, I've got to do it now. There's like 100 people watching me, man. Like the pressure's on. At the same time, some guy on a dirt bike comes flying down the stairs. I'm just like, man, I like it here. Like I like skating in Palestine. People were so cool. So I'm just conscious about time. Maybe we can have a little flick through some of the pictures from the zine. Because something that I really like, I'm going to try and share my screen now, so hopefully everyone can see it. So this is the main zine. There's two that I've released, and I've had these for a while now. I guess I kind of sat on them right because I was waiting for the right time to kind of do more fundraising. But something that I found so amazing about a lot of the kids, like Mohanad here, he has such kind of like flair, and a lot of people are very aware of being photographed as well. And I think like automatically a lot of the kids in the village as well, through maybe working with the volunteers, have always kind of understood their perception in front of the camera as well. Like, is this something that you were quite aware of growing up when the volunteers started coming, that you kind of have this representation of yourself? And like, how do you feel about people from all around the world kind of like shooting photos and like representing your scene in Palestine as well? Like, because it obviously could be quite problematic if it's not done in the right way.
Yeah, if it's not done the right way, it's gonna be problematic. But the media doesn't show what the people actually see. What the volunteers in Skatepal, any volunteer or any foreign country comes to Palestine, they don't show, the media doesn't show that things. And I'm not saying it's okay to take photos and everything. You always have to ask the person, of course, and read the room, read the space before you take a picture in every part of the world, not only Palestine. But I feel like Palestine could actually use some of the people who actually take photos and do things like you said, man. Like you shed the lights on so many things that people can't actually see, you know, and they don't have the opportunity to see, either outside of Palestine, Palestinians living outside of Palestine, or even anyone. So it's nice. It's a beautiful thing. And since ever, Palestine been the hub of people taking pictures in media and just like press and people just coming all over the world to see things and take pictures and do movies and do that and that. It's always been an exotic place to be in.
Yeah, of course.
So people got used to foreign people, and they actually liked them. They could walk in the streets and everybody would shout, "Ah, welcome, welcome, welcome to Palestine."
We definitely got a warm welcome.
Yeah, and if you, God forbid, you have a camera on, and he's like, "Film me, shoot me, film me, take a picture of me." So people actually like it. People feel like it's something exotic for them to see also foreign people who have the cameras, you know?
And it gives the lads, it gives you Shabab a chance to kind of like flex as well, right? Like that's how it was so great, is all the kind of fire, and like the young boys especially, they're just like fighting for that attention, and they're like, nah, don't get a picture of him. He's like,
yeah, it's like, yeah.
I got. I think I'm really glad that you've said that, because when I knew that I wanted to go as well, I was very conscious. I kind of at first didn't want to like shoot photos. I really didn't want my representation of anything to overcloud like anything that was a Palestinian's own experience, especially with me having like quite a large position of privilege in many ways. And the more I talked to people, the more people were very much kind of like, we really enjoy this kind of like side of what's going on here, which isn't portrayed in the media. And I'd like to hope that a lot of people that volunteer with the charity are respectful enough to kind of like make sure that what they're doing is within those boundaries as well. Because so many of the people like just are so welcoming, and I've never had such a like homely response to, like, everyone just wants to kind of show you around and introduce you to all their families and their cousins and their brothers, and it's just such a beautiful place, especially when it's girls session and we have to keep these little dudes from busting up in the park.
Totally the problem.
So man, so good. This is Abood's cat. I think she was blind, and Abood runs the falafel shop in Azira, and he said that this little cat Nuki, I think she jumped off the roof of his building and lived to tell the tale as well. Nice. Malak, amazing skater too. Yeah. So having a little look here, what I like. Is there a lot of creatives in Palestine? Is there anyone that you'd kind of like to plug, like artists, musicians, photographers, designers, people who you think you'd quite like to get a bit more shine, or that they're doing something interesting that you feel like isn't really kind of like breaking out?
There's a lot of people. The last year I've been surrounded with creative, ambitious, passionate people, man. And it's been a nice, like, because COVID-19 happened, I guess was a good time to everybody know each other in the city, and you can like know who's creative, who's not, who's actually doing the thing, even if the word stopped, but they're still working on themselves and pushing through all the occupation, the life that we have and everything. Music wise, a bunch of my friends have started a startup company called Platinum, and they're getting really well known internationally and locally. Two of the girls I know, they're trying to start up a brand, like a clothing brand and fashion. They're getting fashion designers all together, and they're doing workshops with them to actually produce a line of clothing that's heritage past them, but it's also streetwear with this thing. They're called Psycho Project.
Sick.
Really nice. You should always check it out. I got a bunch of friends who are actually trying to do photographs in Tunisia as well. I'm gonna plug them through. Still Giraffe Crew, shout out for them.
Yeah.
And shout out to everyone who came to Palestine, man. And shout out to everyone who always try to help with the intentions of only helping and just having fun with us. For all the volunteers who came, man. For Skatepal, for Charlie, for Theo, for Dorothy, for Alex. If I'm gonna just start saying everyone, then thank you for everyone. And thanks for HYPERTEXT, and thank you, man.
Sick. That's dope. How is your leg now, by the way? Because were you got in the leg?
I'm okay. I got injured, and I guess it's fine now. It's always been a problem that I can't. It's not. I don't know physically. Physically, it's a bit weak because of the muscles, but I'm okay. I can still skate, jump stairs, and everything. But it's always now an obstacle in my mind. It's just like, what if now something happened? I can't get it. Okay, get it, but I mean,
it's all a mental battle, right? It's like it's kind of like putting yourself out there as well, and kind of just having to like not like just, I guess, look past it as well when you're skating.
Yeah, it's never. As you said, it's a mental battle. It's never been a physical. Like I can walk, I can jump, I can run, so it's not gonna be happening any problems. But it's a mental obstacle that I always have to maintain the way and the door to keep it open to just shoot through it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think about what else we've got before we go into some questions. We've got a good half an hour left, which is great.
Woo! I'm gonna
Um,
take, is it okay if I just took a cigarette?
yeah, of course.
1 sec. Sorry, really sorry.
Go for it, mate.
Sam, maybe while Aram's just nipped out, I have a question for you, which I haven't really articulated properly yet, but it relates to this idea of representation, but it's also the sense that the cultures of skateboarding and the communities around skateboarding have historically engaged with photography and filmmaking as a medium, as a way of sort of community building, as a way of I guess, yeah, sharing skills, like giving hype, kind of showing solidarity. And I guess it's a question for Aram as well, like whether this is visible or prevalent in skating communities in Palestine. Like, are people self-representing? Is there a lot of filmmaking and photography within those communities and alongside the skating? Or is that something that's sort of yet to develop? I mean, maybe you could discuss that later as well, but I just thought it could be nice to consider it.
Well, filmmaking and photography and these kind of areas of art field, you could say, are still yet to develop. We have a lot of good filmers, we have a lot of good production people that actually try to do films and short movies and video clips and everything. I think this year was the year for skateboarding in Palestine to be shed a light on the production side, like to actually have a skater in a video clip or actually have a skater who represents skateboarding in a photo or something. They used to have just like any kind of person on a board and just take a picture of it and put a billboard, and it's not even a skater. So there's this thing that like we do have a skateboarding scene still young. I know, I understand, but why wouldn't you just put a skateboard instead of a person who doesn't actually skate for on a board? And we still have this problematic of people not really thinking like it's. I can understand because they don't have the background, they don't know that skateboarding that much, I guess. But people are still, this year, people are more aware of skateboarding and they want to contribute in the skateboarding scene because it's actually now it's growing up. And I think it's in like this year and the next year is going to be a really good year for the skateboarders in Palestine to have shed some light on them. From photographers, from filmmakers, from everyone. But I hope it will develop to better things. And I don't know, it's a thing still on the develop, I guess.
I mean, as well, when you look at it this way, like there isn't actually a skate shop in Palestine. So when we think about like the fact that someone like myself would find it really easy to just like get new boards, shoes, kind of like, you know, no matter where you are in the UK, there's always going to be somewhere within probably like an hour or two radius where you can go and buy like hardware. And that's not the case in Palestine, right? Like there's a lot of problems kind of like importing anything into the country. And if it is, it's going to take a long time to get in there. Yeah. So all of the kind of like product that people ride in the West Bank is all donations, right? Like, is that still the case?
It is the case. And we don't have a skate shop. So like example, this year, because we don't have any volunteers coming through and we don't have like, you know, the shipping all worldwide was stopped and it was really hard to ship anything, I guess, donations. And like this year was a really tough year for the skaters who actually want to buy a board or grip tape. Like we don't have the accessible amount of the things that we want to provide for the people unless a volunteer is coming and they're bringing some things with them, old boards, used boards, and it's yeah. And there's no market, man. Like it's gonna be really hard for the kids to get sponsored in Palestine. Yeah. A lot of them, like I could see it from now, like 2 years, 3 years now, we're gonna have like a some radical, gnarly skaters. And
Well, this is the thing, is that in my head, I'm like, man, like in the next 5 years, like I'd love to see like a video, just like a crew video that's filmed and features Palestinian skateboarders, all filmed and edited by them. I'd love to see like a board brand, but I guess like the actual physicalities of doing something like that and like producing them is just kind of like too hard at the moment, right? Like, how do you see the future of it? Like, are you optimistic about kind of like skateboarding under the occupation?
Yeah, I'm always optimistic about the skateboarding thing in Palestine because it's something that you can control. Occupation or not occupation, colonization or whatever the fuck it is, you can't control skateboarding there. It's something that you can just have your finger on it. It's just something that you can't actually do anything to do, like to disrupt that evolving. You know, it's going up anyway. And I think from maybe 5 years, as you just said, I think there's gonna be something nice produced by skater Palestinians and produced by us. Only just everything shot and film and edit and music and everything is gonna be all Palestinian for the skateboarding scene, which is have a nice touch, a different touch, different style from everyone else. And it's gonna be hard for the kids to get things because, as I said, there's no skate shop. But we're trying to get a skate shop running, and with the
Nice.
help of PayPal, we're trying to get donations and everything to like start up a mobile shop at least at first. So like you can ask for a skateboard and we can try to deliver it in the West Bank and everything. But as I said, it's gonna be really hard for the kids. I'm gonna do my best to not have this obstacle in the future for them, because I would really love to give the kids and the still growing skaters in Palestine the opportunity that I never had, but as at the same time I had through skatepal. I could say that without skatepal, I would never push through a lot of shit, because if I broke my board, like when we started skating, I broke a board and I couldn't skate for almost 3 months and a half because we don't have any skate shops. It was really hard to get boards.
Well, even that mental limitation where when you're trying to progress, if you're quite consciously trying not to damage your product or your shoes or your boards or your wheels, then you're not going to be able to progress at like a normal rate because you're so aware that like there's like quite a large like cost like involved with like what you are actually riding as well. So like how is it that you've seen people kind of get into skating and drop out? Like, is there a lot of people that kind of stick with it over the years? I can imagine some of the people you like grew up skating with might not be like as into it now, but then there's like more people getting into it. Or
yeah, when we started skating, there was like 3 friends, I think they're cousins as well from Birzeit, and they were skating really good, man. They could do like really, you know, this like double kick flip buddy varial shit. Like it was a really weird start for them, and they were actually really good. But they dropped out because it was really hard to get boards, and they broke a lot of boards, and it was hard for them to continue and progress in the light of there's nothing to actually maintain. And all of us had this mental obstacle just talked about is I don't want to ollie the 3-sit because if I ollie it and I broke my board, I'm not going to try it again afterwards. So there's always this obstacle that I don't want to try this because I know for a fact I might break my board and I can't skate no more. So it's always this obstacle that you have to fight through, rather than obstacles that we all skateboarders have in mental, like obstacles we always have. Some people push through. There's a lot of skaters who actually push through, even with the broken board, man. I've seen I've seen some kid have a broken nose and tail, and he's just still skating.
yeah, that's true. We saw someone with like a gaffer taped up board, which was the most amazing thing. I was like, damn, like you can have my old one, you know, like that is some. He didn't want the old one; he wanted the gaffer tape board. Like he's proud of that. Like,
yeah, man.
yeah, that's dope. I don't want to put you on the spot, but what's some of your favorite stories about skating in Palestine? Either things, kind of like wild stuff that's happened, or just nice things, or things that have kind of like caught you off guard. Like, what's your favorite?
I don't know. There's a lot of good stories. One of my favorite stories, I don't remember when exactly, but we were skating this spot, like it had like 2 stairs flat, and I guess one of the volunteers tried to grind the stairs, and it was in front of the shop. and he was about to get the trick that he wanted, and the owner of the shop came out, and all of us like we stood still, like, is he gonna kick us out? Is he gonna, what he's gonna say? And he just went back in and was like, the volunteer asked me like, what should I be like, what should I do? And as we trying to figure out what he's gonna do, he came out with a fucking bucket of coffee, cups, and he's like, here, you need some Arabic coffee to do the trick. I was like, all right, thank you.
Dude, we had the same so many times. We thought we were about to get kicked out, and people would kind of come running out, and you were like, and they were like, yo, give me a go of that. Like, I'm on that. Like, people are so into it.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, a lot of stories, man. I don't know. All the stories are my favorite stories.
So I guess we've got a couple of questions here. I don't know if Lillian wants to come back online. There we go.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, good.
Hey, thank you so much. We've had an absolutely amazing response to this talk. We're getting loads of messages through on our Instagram and on our Twitter, and some through on the Twitch as well. People, yeah, hugely complimentary, really enjoying hearing about this, and yeah, just loving watching you guys. I'll read a few questions out. I guess one of the first ones was, where do I buy the zines? And I guess I could answer that they're currently live on hypertext.fun. If you scroll down through our exhibitors list to Sam Hutchinson, you can buy both Hope and the previous zine, right, Sam? Yeah, there are two that are available. Is it You Are My Life?
Yeah, so this one is more of like the actual kids and a lot more about like what happens in Skatepal. And then this one is just a little cheeky one that I thought would be kind of nice to raise a little bit more money. And it's kind of like vinyl car decals and stickers that I really enjoyed when I went there. And actually, there was someone else that did a similar project, and I saw it and I was like, oh, they're so good. I was like, I'm so glad that other people have like seen the same things, because there's so many kind of like nice little details that people do to customize their own little gaffs as well. And this one, it's a nice little one.
Nice. Yeah, so we're hoping that people will buy both, I guess. I'll start with this question, which is from the same contributor, who may be called Josh. I'm not sure about the username. He says, maybe a bit of a heavy question, but does Aram feel that skateboarding has the potential to bridge a political divide between Palestinians and Israelis, particularly amongst young people? I guess it's a tricky question, and it's probably one that you're used to hearing a lot, but do you have do you reflect on any capacity to see both communities coming together at this point?
Right. I'm from the old generation of protests and shit. I'm gonna see it live. I hope I don't get prison. It's hard for me to say anything political, because skateboarding is not political, but at the same time, all my life is political, man. Just the fact that I live in West Bank is political. It's everything that I say about Palestine, about my life, personal experience in Palestine is going to be political. But for me, like a guy living in the West Bank and skating, that I can't have a permit to go to Haifa or any part of the other side of the wall, I could never say the perspective of having this exchange and things. But for the Palestinians who live in Jerusalem, the Jerusalemites, and who live in Haifa, Yafa, Akka, all the cities across the borders, I think it's because skateboarding is a beautiful thing that wherever you go and you have your skateboard with your instant family, that you break all the boundaries, you break all the ethnic, religion, thoughts, political thoughts, whatever the fuck you think about, you just put aside and you just skate together. I could never have opinion, I guess, because I've never lived the experience of exchanging and things like that. But maybe if a skater in Jerusalem skates with, I guess, Israelis or Jews or whatever, I don't think they're gonna have a problem, because skating is skating. I've heard they had a problem skating in Jewish areas. They got kicked out, but I don't know. It's not gonna break. It's not gonna be the peacemaker. It's not gonna be the tool to break all the peace or make the peace in Palestine and Israel. It's not like that. No, I don't think it's not in that way. It could be used in that way, and it's not gonna happen. But it's something that we always have in the back of my mind. It's gonna break the ice between us, skaters in Palestine, West Bank, and Palestinians and Israel and Israelis and all this circle. It might, I'm not sure. I'm not gonna be the one who say yes or no. I'm gonna be the one who would make things easier for anyone who's trying to reach out, I guess. But in a way, I'm good skating here, man. We have a lot of good spots and having fun.
Awesome. I think that's, yeah, very delicately put. I appreciate that. I have another question. How are we doing for time? Yeah, we're good. So this one came in through Instagram. It says, it's from Will. He says, cheers Sam, Aram, and HYPERTEXT, really informative. Will was meant to go to Asira Al Shamalia with Skatepal in August 2020. For fundraising in the future, how do you recommend going about fundraising for that kind of trip? How do you show non-skaters that Skatepal is worth supporting?
Wow, that's a administrative question.
Well, me and my mate just put on a big event and we did a raffle and we asked a load of distros to send us some products and we did like a little skate event and we also made loads of cakes and curry and we sold them in the street and raised a load of money. I think I was really taken back by how I'm always really taken back by how keen people are to like donate to charity and to help with fundraising. Any time I've done something like that, it makes me really optimistic about how people feel about kind of sharing like what they have to like benefit other people as well. So you can hit me up like direct as well to find a bit more about like how we did some fundraising techniques, because it's always doable. Like with the communities that were involved with Skatepal as well, like there's such a good community. There's so many different ideas of people that will help you on your way with that.
Cool. Let's see if we have any further questions. That might be it for the Instagram. I'm going to check the Twitch. But Sam, you were able to spend a month, did you say, in the West Bank?
Just over.
Yeah, and how how did you organize your things like accommodation and stuff through Skatepal? Is Skatepal in a position to support with that kind of thing, or was this kind of largely independently organized?
Oh yeah, like Skatepal hooks up a lot of the volunteers with real informative and like really amazingly thought out kind of like packs on how to find your way as well. And it's always great to kind of like meet other volunteers to like do your trip with as well, because it can be a little bit scary going through kind of customs, and especially like when no one speaks English, it's hard to ask where the bus station is. So like a massive shout to everyone at Skatepal, because I feel like that experience was like really helped out. Like I think every volunteer has to raise like a couple £100 to just cover like basic costs of accommodation and running costs. And I'm like always really impressed by how calm and kind of cool and like confident Charlie is when it comes to like all the work that he's done.
Yeah.
Like from my perspective, like he's like so sick at kind of like doing what he does, and Theo and everyone else that's involved, Dorothy. Oh, as well, I think we should totally plug Skatepal. Have just got a new cookbook out, which Aram has like been a part of too.
I was definitely going to do that. I've pre-ordered it. It looks amazing.
Nice.
And you get and a t-shirt bundle, definitely.
Yeah, the cookbook is about all the communities, families, friends, and everyone in Skatepal family. I guess the bigger fit, like the whole family, made an input with it. And shout out to Tom. Tom Bird was the one who was dedicated for the last couple of months to do everything on point and just ping pong thoughts and everything with us. And it came out really nice and like warm-hearted things in it, and it's really beautiful. And strongly say that you should get it because there's a lot of good recipes. My favorite recipe is malfouf. Me and my mother had an input on it, and it's a bit not hard to do, and it's could be vegan and not vegan. And try it, have it. Thank
I
you.
can't wait.
Aram, when is the cookbook due to? When is it due to be released? Do you know?
Should be released by next month before Christmas.
Amazing.
Like in the first couple of weeks, like first week of December, probably.
Ace. Right. So yeah, that's your Christmas list. Gifts for Christmas sorted. Straight from Bethlehem. Couldn't be more appropriate.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much, guys. We're really thrilled at the response to this talk. It's been a really fantastic way to kick off our program. As you know, myself and the rest of the Bound Art Book Fair organisers, we've always wanted to support and promote and amplify titles like this, which are, we work within the photographic community largely, and contemporary art more broadly, but we always want to support projects that have this kind of activist spirit and share these stories which are really under-circulated and under-amplified. So we're really hoping that this is perhaps the start of an ongoing relationship with Skatepal, for example. Sam, you've always been a fantastic supporter of Bound and a regular exhibitor, and we're really happy with that as well. We're really sad we can't have breakfast all together this morning at Gemini Cafe in Manchester, but hopefully soon. So yeah, just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody watching. We will be continuing to stream for the rest of the day, I think until around 4:30, when we switch over to Instagram Live for a talk between Robert Parkinson and John from Law Magazine. We'll also be starting off at 11 a.m. tomorrow for another day of amazing content. We've got a live broadcast all day on Sable Radio, so I want to shout out to the guys at Sable Radio who've been amazing. We will also be broadcasting the live conversation between Jade Montserrat and Keita Gill, which is happening today at 1:30. So that will be live here at HYPERTEXT.fun and also on Sable Radio. We've also got some amazing DJs. So stick around and check out the rest of the site. And I'm going to say goodbye, salam to you guys.
Salamat. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.